But there was a place, it was like the best kept secret in Vegas, I thought. In Circus Circus, there used to be a little coffee shop called the Pink Pony.
Wow.
And they did pancakes that were out of this world. And I'm not just saying that from like, as a kid's perspective. There were people that made special trips. That was called the Pink Pony, and they made the Pink Pony pancakes, which were a little bit pink.
That's cool.
But they had like a hint of strawberry in the pancake batter, and they were unbelievable. And so people they were like, the gambling is secondary. I'm really in town to get some of those pancakes.
Wow.
They always had a line out the door and stuff like that.
That's
but there
cool.
were a lot of, and there still are on the Strip. There are little like secrets that the locals know about and places that you can go that are just incredible, you know.
Oh yeah. Like, have you ever heard of IHOP? It's the International House of Pancakes.
I think you need a visa though to go inside.
Pocket Party.
And we're back. Hey everybody, it's your host Darren Carter, the party starter. We are calling Mr. Mike Black. Make sure you hit that Venmo, that Cash App. Thanks for your support. We really do appreciate it.
Hello.
Hello, Mike Black.
How's it going, buddy?
Good. We are live on the air on the Pocket Party podcast. And go.
Yay.
No. Yay. I got to ask you, I was thinking about this right now. Do you have a morning routine?
No.
No, you just, every day, every morning is just different in Mike Black's world.
I wouldn't say it's different. I get out of bed the same as everybody else, you know, but I don't really do it in the morning. I do it later.
That could be an interesting question. Do you have an afternoon routine?
Yeah, I guess that's really it. I have more of an afternoon routine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's different, I guess, because I never know, like, when I wake up if I'm going to be hungry or if I'm going to just want to go out immediately or clean or, you know, I don't really have a very strict regimen, you know, that I follow.
Yeah, I talked to a buddy of mine that the reason I asked this, and I'm not saying that I'm going to do this, but he, because I have a morning routine, I realize, but his is pretty extreme. He lives in Ohio, and he gets up at 4:20 in the morning, and I don't know if it's because I don't know if that's just a random number or that's the reason. That's how long it takes him to get to the gym, but he says that he wakes up at 4:20, then at 5 a.m. he's doing CrossFit from 5 to 6, and then from 6 o'clock he goes to Walmart and eats breakfast. And I said, "What is breakfast at Walmart?" And he goes, I open up a can of salmon.
I knew it. I knew it was going to be salmon or tuna or something like that.
Yeah, he has salmon, then he eats an apple, and then he goes, and I write my comedy for about a half hour, and then I edit some videos or whatever, like on his phone, and then he uploads them to like all the social, like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff, and that's how he gets his day started.
Is it working?
I got to be honest. Honestly, he sounded very, very happy because I talked to him a couple months ago and he sounded more like out of place. Something was wrong. Like he just kind of seemed like a rudderless ship a little bit. I think he didn't have any, you know, and it seems like this is what's working for him. I'm like, that's good, dude. Keep doing that. Whatever you're doing, do that, you know?
Yeah, I think that works for a lot of people. Like if life is really going off the rails, installing some rails, putting in some structure, helps, you know?
Yeah. You know, like for the last, I don't know, 3 years, I'll say, pretty much because I wear contact lenses and I figured this out. Like when I wake up, I'm going to wash my hands to put my contacts in. and I don't want to. I'm like, oh, let me just air dry them. So one day I was just sort of doing some jumping jacks to kind of air dry them, and then that turned into like a morning routine. So every morning I do a little bit of jumping jacks, a little bit of air squats. I do 50 sit-ups, 50 push-ups, almost every morning. Not every morning, but.
Did you ask this in a roundabout way so that you could brag about all the aerobics that you do?
Exactly. I'm like Mike Black. I got a great idea. Instead of a podcast, let's FaceTime each other and air dry our hands together. No, that's, no. This.
And then I put contacts in my beautiful blue eyes.
Exactly. I know. I should probably leave that contact part out, but that's the truth, though. It's like, and then I pop in my. Yeah.
It's part of your routine, though, But yeah, no, it's funny how stuff like you can accidentally lead into bragging.
Oh yeah. So I'm ironing my clothes on my washboard abs, and did I mention? Yeah, exactly. No, I don't have that, but but it's funny because like this last week when I was at the farm with my wife and son, I was getting him to do it, and it's funny because at first he, just like every other human being, who's slightly reluctant at first. He's like, can we do it later, or can I'm like, come on, let's just do it. And then I remember the second day that we did it. Not the first day, but the second day, he goes, "Wow, that's we're done already." And I'm like, "Yeah, it only takes like 5 minutes. It doesn't, it's not very long." And I think the first day it seemed longer because he didn't know what to expect. He didn't know like, okay, what exercise now, and now what are we doing? And but it's kind of cool. I don't know. For me, it's as you just said, put a little rails, a little structure on my my morning routine. And I find if I put it off and say I'll do it later, 9 times out of 10 I don't, and I'll just be like, I'll do it tomorrow. So I find that if I just do it within the first 30 minutes of waking up, just even if it gets down to like where I'm like you know what, I'm gonna do girl push-ups and just like on my knees, just do that way at least I'm doing something. But
right.
I don't know, when I start my day out like that, it just makes me feel like, okay, now what? Now let's go on to the next thing. And
yeah, I think doing this honestly has added structure to my day, where like anytime I know that I'm doing a podcast with you or with anyone really, I have like a little routine I do to kind of prepare for that, which is wake up, go to the bathroom and find an energy drink, and then get ready for you to call. So,
yeah, I know.
It's not a very complex routine, but
but isn't it cool? It's cool though, right? Like, no, because I know like when we get in the books, we're like, okay, I'll talk to you Monday. It's like then I start, I go to bed a little like, okay, let me make sure I wake up in time and have all and it's you're right. It adds a little structure where it's like we're gonna do A, B, C, and D, and then and I always feel great about them afterwards, like, man, that was so cool. I didn't even know we were going to talk about, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's always helpful,
I'm a coffee guy. Do you drink coffee, or you mostly drink energy drinks?
I mostly drink energy drinks just because I don't happen to have a coffee maker. I don't want one really, but I like to go, if I'm going to have coffee, I actually like to go and be kind of social and go to like a coffee shop or something like that.
Yeah, that's cool too. It's funny when you said that earlier, when you go, or sometimes I'll go outside, like, first thing when I wake up, like that's kind of cool too. I haven't done that in a while. Like, not that I haven't done it in a while, but when I do it, I realize like, oh, I don't do this that often. I usually wake up and then stay home for about 2 or 3 hours before I go out. Then I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to go and either the gym or hiking or do something. But when I have
like during lockdown, I didn't have coffee really at all.
Oh wow!
It was just energy drinks and stuff because I was like, I just like the experience of going to a place where they serve it and I don't have to make it myself.
I know. And you get those free refills. I love that.
Right. Or, like if you go to Starbucks, maybe you strike up a conversation with someone or something, like to me, that was a big part of doing comedy, is interacting with people day to day that are maybe not having the best day, and if you can joke around with them and maybe make it a little bit better, that's a fun thing to do.
It's true, right? Like yesterday, I went to a restaurant and I was using my little credit card, and I've only done this twice now, but it's pretty cool.
Wait, you have a little credit card?
I got a little. Is that what I said? I got a little. Yeah,
I'm using my little credit card.
I'm using my little. Well, I never used to really use a credit card.
The new Visa little credit card.
Yeah, exactly.
They spell it like L''L.
Yo, what's up? Got your little credit card. It's a hip hop. It's a hip hop credit card. Yeah, that's right, fool. You heard it right. It's the black card.
You hold it like in between your pinky and your thumb.
Yeah, exactly. Here's my little credit card. Well, what I was going to say is usually when you use a credit card, you know how you might insert it, and then let's say you're at the gas station, you insert the credit card, and then for whatever reason, maybe the credit card is it's not reading it right, so then you wipe it on your shirt and you try it again, and then finally it's like, please see cashier inside, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm so used to like,
oh yeah.
So that's
I don't want to talk to that guy.
I know. Here we are talking about being social and stuff, but in that situation, I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Right.
It's like that guy's. The difference is that's like forced social interaction.
Right.
Like he doesn't want it. I don't want it. He knows that machine should have done it.
Exactly. Oh, look who's here! Happy to see me. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh gosh.
Although usually I don't see that guy very often anymore. Now it's like it's usually a really angry lady.
I know.
Where she doesn't want to talk to me.
Oh yeah, you know what? There's this one gas station I used to go to that only. I forget why I would. Oh yeah, that's what I would go in because they really wanted cash, and if you did a credit card, you had to put at least $25 worth of gas in, which now would be easy, but. A couple of years ago, it was a little harder to do that because I didn't know how to judge it, and sometimes I'd be like, "Oh man, I only needed $19 worth of gas or whatever,"
Right.
And so I used to go in there and talk to them, and it was kind of neat because I remember that was when Bohemian Rhapsody was out, and the lady had like a Queen tattoo, and so you start becoming like a regular where you're like, "Hey, how's it going?" And there's something nice to that, but I got to be honest, it's almost nicer just to pull in, use the credit card, pump up the gas, clean the windshields, and then be on with your day,
Yeah.
But I just discovered this go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just agreeing, yeah.
I just discovered this for myself. Sometimes it'll say like, insert credit card or tap. And I never tapped. I was like, I sound like a jiu-jitsu guy. I never tap. I never tap. But
so, I let him break my legs every time.
I know. I ain't tapping on your credit card machine. Oh no, Bruno, you don't. You can actually tap your credit card. Your little credit card.
Yeah. Tap your tiny little credit card.
Your tiny little credit card with the big bill.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's so adorable. But so I tapped the credit card, and I'm like, oh wow, it actually works. Because I guess before I wasn't tapping it in the right place. I was tapping the credit card in the wrong location.
Well, that says something else about you that you may not want to share.
Exactly. I'm like, what? Oh, I got to match this with match that. Okay, I tap right there. So I did that yesterday or a couple days ago, and I'm like, this is magical.
You know how tedious that must be to people that work there?
Oh my gosh.
Old people struggle with
I know.
Their credit card.
Well, luckily I had no witnesses because I only did it at the gas station pump. I never tried it in front of people. I would
right.
Because I don't know, maybe I didn't. I was just like, oh, my card doesn't do that. That's for special people. I just have this little credit card.
My little credit card.
Yeah.
There can't be room on here for tap technology.
Yeah, I thought about that exactly. And then, so I did it one day. I was like, I'm just going to try this. I'm tired of like this whole, oh yeah, that's what it was. Because I was trying to insert it and I'm wiping it on my shirt and trying to clean it. And I don't know, just trying to see if it works. Please see cashier inside. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. And then tap here, boom. Whoa, it works. Bam, just like that. So then I went to this restaurant to get some food to go. Shout out to the kebab store. It's a chain, but it's delicious. The chicken kebabs and salads.
Is it really a chain called the kebab store?
I think it's called the kebab shop. Yep.
Wow. That is not a successful chain name. The kebab shop.
Well, you know what it is, though. There's no guesswork.
There's still a lot of guesswork on a place called the kebab shop.
That's right. Oh my gosh, they probably didn't think because that'd be like the taco shop. No, we are the taco shop. We are the kebab shop.
Yeah, and it's like you don't know what kind of tacos you're getting or what, or definitely with kebabs, you have no idea what they're putting on those sticks.
I know, it's funny to make it really because they just opened in Burbank, and to make it seem like it's like hey, we're for everybody. That's what they always say, like in the thing, like kebabs for everyone, all are welcome. They really want to make it like it's not some weird food, guys. Come on in. So you know what they did is they have in the big picture in the window. It was a wrap. Picture a wrap and stuffed with like chicken, but then they also stuffed it full of French fries.
Right.
To be like, hey, I know you've heard the word falafel, but you've also heard French fries.
Yeah.
This is palatable, guys. Try it.
This is what Americans like, right?
I know.
Eventually, it's just going to be a pizza with a bunch of fries in it.
Exactly. All right, we tried the kebab thing. It ain't working.
Yeah, we give up. Just...
So I go there.
I'll come for your new pizza kebab. Yeah,
we got pizza kebabs, French fry kebabs, hot dog kebabs.
I need extra ranch. Of course you do.
Exactly. Do y'all have ranch? Oh yeah, you know what they gave me yesterday was cilantro, because I always get the garlic. It's called like garlic yogurt. It says yogurt, which is weird, but it's just garlic sauce, but it's really yogurt, I guess. And then they had a spicy cilantro. And he's like, you've got to try this. And I tried it, and it was good, but the garlic one was better, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really like to, as you know from our Ritz cracker talk, I'm not real big on experimenting with new flavors once I found something I like.
Oh, yeah.
Like just do that thing right, rather than
That's
experimenting.
Right. I think that explains why I'm married for as long as I am. I love you, honey, for listening. But it's true. It's like you like what you like, and it's like, okay, we're good.
This isn't broke. Don't fix it. I get experimenting as a chef or whatever to get more other people interested.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but don't screw up the thing you're doing right for the customer that you already have. You know what I mean? But,
right.
McDonald's now, the Big Mac has sliced apples and beets on it. Well, don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah,
You're going to lose some customers that way.
I know. I like the. I don't mind the. I like apples. I like beets. I don't know if I'd like sliced apples and beets.
You certainly wouldn't want them on a Big Mac.
I know. I don't think I've ever eaten apples from McDonald's.
Oh, like the ones they put like in Happy Meals and shit?
Yeah. Have you ever had those? Those don't seem like they'd be that good.
They're just processed,
Yeah, it's like...
It's, like everything else at McDonald's, it's going to be pretty hardcore processed,
So when I get to the kebab shop and I go to the credit, I go to pay, and I was like, oh, there's that thing. It says tap. And I'm like, tap, boom, it worked right away. And I go, oh, this is so cool. And I told the lady, I just started using that tap function. And she's like, oh, yeah. She's like, I've been using it because a lot of times the credit card doesn't work the other way for me because I have fake nails.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's a challenge to get it in and out of the machine in time.
I guess. And then we talked about interaction when you go to the coffee shops and stuff. And it was cool. I made her laugh because she said her credit card wouldn't work because she has fake nails. And I said, oh, sometimes mine wouldn't work because I had a fake credit card. And then that kind of whispered and looked around, and she knew I was joking, but it was cool though. It was like, wow.
And then she notified the authority.
Exactly. I'm like, I just crushed right now. That was like a set.
He's been using this little credit card.
Exactly. Then I stood by the door and tried to sell merch.
And they send you to little jail.
They send you to a little jail with your little fake credit card. And I got fake bail. But, yeah.
But yeah, the thing that I like about the tap thing is that you can do it at your bank at like the drive-through. Because one thing I don't like at any place is when you insert your credit card and it locks it in there.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, great
Yeah, don't be locking my credit card in.
that you're like verifying everything, but that's a bit dramatic. And if you think it's stolen or whatever, just stop it. Like don't just block the card, but don't take it away, because then if it's a mistake or something, it takes like a week to get it fixed. If they swallow your credit card,
Oh man.
it takes forever. And that happened to me during the pandemic, where I
No.
just left mine in an ATM, but I was still right there, and I realized I'd done it, and I go back,
wow.
and what happened was, when you do that at some ATMs, it'll just swallow it so no one else comes by to take it.
Yeah, to protect you, but essentially
Yeah,
it's
and
hurting
so I
you.
called the bank, and I was like, haha, good one, you got me. Can you spit it back out now? And they were like, oh no, that's not one of ours. That's like not a branch ATM, that's a franchise.
It's a
one.
third party. It just
Right.
It's like, geez.
So we have to send you one. I was like, well, how long will that take? 11 days. I was like,
wow.
I live in a nightmare town right now.
Yeah.
I can't go 11 days without it. And they were like, we'll send you a piece of paper that tells people you have a ATM.
I've been a good boy. I've been a good boy.
Yeah, I was like, great.
Yeah.
I go to the bank with my little note from mom that says, he can withdraw $20 today.
Especially at that time during the lockdown, it was like there was a lot of places closed. A lot of places were like they were afraid to take cash, or they just got in the habit of it, like no cash, or
Yeah.
and it was like, man.
So now that you can just tap, I don't have that anxiety of like, that sort of thing happening.
How did you? What were during that time with when you didn't have that credit card? Like, how long did you have to go? Like, did you have to go the 11 days?
Yeah, pretty
Wow.
much. I went, though I did go to the bank the next day, and they gave me a like temporary ATM card, which kind of worked. It had about half the features that the regular one had. I couldn't deposit anything. I didn't have anything to deposit, but I couldn't deposit anything. And the limit was a lot lower and stuff like that. But
But you're like, okay, at least I can go get food or get something.
Yeah, it was enough to get through it. And I had a backup card for that sort of emergency, but it was still not ideal when they could have just spit my card back out.
I know. It's like,
when
come
it's
on,
like, I know where it is. I didn't lose it. It's in that machine. Take it out.
The other day I called you and you were on your way to somewhere, and we were both talking about GPS. And did you finally end up getting there where you were trying to find?
No, I don't think it exists anymore. Or the map just isn't updated. I've been noticing a lot of that lately. But again, because of the pandemic, a lot of things closed that just aren't there anymore. But they didn't shut it off on maps or whatever, but like I was driving the other day, and they were like, turn left here, and I was like, it's illegal to turn left here. There's all sorts of signs that say do not turn left here.
I mean, I was telling Mike on the phone, I personally, I love Waze, WAZE, but I know a lot of people don't. I don't think Mike likes it very much.
I don't like it, because it's we're going to save you 30 seconds. Just make 47 turns here, Go down this alley behind the broken glass factory.
My wife doesn't like it because she's like, I don't like it because it tells you it'll try to save you 1 minute, but it has you going through all these, busy streets where you got to turn left, and they won't let you turn left, and it's they're
real like old timey directions too, like turn right at Gobbler's Knob, and I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
the old man with the hook hand is,
I think I like it because I guess I'm just used to it, like that's the one that I'm used to. Just like anything else, if you're used to a certain like interface or computer, then you're like, oh, this is what I'm used to. So I like it because I always turn the volume up really loud, and I find that I use it different than some other people. Like I turn the volume up loud, so it's like, turn left in 3 miles. Like it'll tell me like turn left, turn right. Your location is 200 feet on the right. And I've tried other applications, and maybe I don't have them programmed right, or the settings are right. But sometimes they don't tell me what side of the street it's on or where I'm supposed to turn.
Which one does this?
I like Waze.
Oh, Waze.
Yeah. To me, the Waze, like, it says it out loud. I'm used to looking at the purple line where I'm like, oh, okay, and then my next turn will be left, and my next, and it reads it to me.
You know what I hate? I don't know if Waze does this, but the maps that I use does this. They'll tell you, oh, your location is across the street from where we drove you. Don't drive me that way then. Drive me the way where
I know.
It's on the same side of the street that I'm on, I don't want to be, like, that doesn't make me on time in LA. If my car is across the street from the location, right. I'm not on time. That's another 5 minutes of where is the crosswalk, or do I jaywalk and risk getting stopped by a cop or whatever,
Yeah.
That's nowhere near. That's like, they don't really account on most of them for traffic lights now in LA. Like a traffic light now in LA, if you get a red, it's a 5-minute difference between you caught a yellow or something like that, And so they're like, oh, you'll be there in, 15 minutes because we're not taking that into account. It's like, no, you won't. You'll be there in 25 minutes because you're going to hit at least 2 of those reds,
I do like when I'm another thing that I like about Waze is it'll kind of guess the traffic. Like if it's 2 p.m, I'm like, man, what if I left at like 5? And it'll kind of let you know, like, but if you leave at 6:30, it'll only take you 49 minutes. So I do like that aspect of it.
Isn't that weird how there's like a sort of time warp that happens?
Yeah.
Like LA is the only place you can leave later and arrive earlier.
I know. It's like, you could either sit in 3 hours of traffic and get there, or you can wait and then only sit in 47 minutes of traffic and still pretty much get there. It's like,
when I used to rely a little bit more on Lyft because it was more reasonable. Now it's just insane, just
wow,
crazy.
Uber and Lyft, both of them.
Yeah, because it's like I was at a party on Friday where I just overheard this girl who was waiting for her Lyft, and she looks at her friend and she goes, a Lyft from like the Valley back to where she lived downtown. She was like, a Lyft home right now is $120.
Whoa,
I was like, that's insane.
That's crazy.
That is just ridiculous numbers. Like the business model for it was pretty good when it started, but I remember thinking, what sucks is this is a great business model.
Yeah.
It's, it's much cheaper than cabs and stuff like that. Eventually greed is going to get in here.
Yeah.
Because eventually they're going to replace cabs, which they did for the most part. And once that happened, they were like, okay, now we can charge whatever we want.
Yeah.
And during the pandemic, they kind of used that as an excuse to do that. It's, it's harder now and gas prices are higher and blah, blah, blah,
I know.
And, but they really made a meal out of it. And now I think the smart thing to do would be some other company is going to come along and do it at the prices that they used to do it at.
Yeah.
And then they'll be the big name for a while, but then greed will mess that up too eventually,
I know. And then they also have that thing where it's like the prices, I'm hoping when that girl said that maybe the prices were surged at that time, but still, I mean, what if
yeah, but it's like that I get surging your price a little bit, but $100.
I know. One night I was in Dallas and I had to take I had to take an Uber to the airport, and it was like 3:30 in the morning because I wanted to get there like at, I don't know, 6 or whatever, and I was like, oh man, it's same thing. It was like $130. So then if I just waited, and then it finally went down to like 55, which is what it was supposed to be. And I'm like, okay, let's just do that. Like, but you're sitting there getting kind of nervous, like, gosh, like, like, man, this could be crazy. A super expensive ride. One time I took a $200 cab ride. The promoter at the comedy show, nobody picked me up. There was 3 people that I had 3 phone numbers, and none of them were awake. They all got drunk, I guess, and I had to get a ride from Lincoln, Nebraska to Omaha, Nebraska, and I want to say it cost me over $200. Luckily, the promoter sent me the money like 2 weeks later, but there was that moment where you're like panicking. It's 4 a.m. You got your suitcases, you're calling, no one's answering, you're texting, you're calling. Then eventually you're like, okay, I guess I have to call a cab.
Yeah, that's insane that nobody did that. But it's good that you got reimbursed, but that is a rare thing, in comedy.
I know, very rare. I know he didn't have to do that. He was like a local DJ in town, and so maybe he felt like, maybe he's a good guy, but also, he probably felt like, well, I got to kind of keep my name,
Also, for a lot of comics, not all of them, but for a lot of comics that are like road dogs and stuff like that, $200 is about what they're getting paid.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. I mean, to fly all the way out there, and then, I remember like at that particular one, he had his cousin pick me up from the airport because the event was already going on. My flight got delayed, so the event's going on, and they were like, go pick him up. And so the guy I'm pretty sure he'd already been drinking, the promoter, his cousin. And because we exited the freeway pretty fast, and then he slams on the brakes at the off ramp, and then we kind of skidded out there a little bit. And then he goes, damn, I almost killed the comedian. He didn't. It wasn't that bad, like nothing, but still, it was enough to where I'm like, this isn't cool. Like I wish, like.
It's like, and as a comedian, I recognize when a joke is a little too close to the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Because I remember an 18-wheeler went in front of us. Like, it wasn't like that close, but it was close enough to where like you could joke around about it. But I was like, damn, dude, like. So in a sense, it was almost a relief knowing that I was taking a cab the next day.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? There's always a silver lining, right?
Yeah, I've had shows where I've met like the guy who's going to be driving us the night before, and the guy's super, super drunk. I'm taking you to the airport in the morning. The morning is like 3 hours from now, dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
You shouldn't be taking anyone anywhere.
Yeah, you should be taking your butt home to bed, or have someone drive you. Like,
let me show you my pistol collection before we go to sleep.
I know, I'm a good shot. Watch. Speaking of apples, I got these. Yeah. Put this apple on your head. That's crazy. When you ever see? Oh my God! I was watching somebody sent me something on TikTok where it was like guys throwing knives and all that. Man, that's just too crazy for me. It's like the girl's standing there and they're popping balloons with the knives, pop, 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 pop. And then their final trick was, I'm sure it was a trick, but it was something where he throws it and it looks like she catches it in her mouth or something. I'm like, this is just insane.
Yeah, it's like that just has to go wrong once.
Yeah.
And then from then on, like every date that you go on, so how did things end with your last girlfriend? Well,
yeah.
I was trying to get more views on TikTok, and then I stabbed her in the head.
Exactly, I know. And then who knows when that conversation will happen? What's TikTok? It was big back in the day, It was like it was a thing that we'd all do. Oh, I know. I forgot to ask you. Did you grow up with other kids? Like, did you have like older brothers and sisters, or younger, or?
I had 2 older brothers from my mom's first marriage, and they one was about 10 years older than me, and one was like 11 and a half years older than me. And then they were great. They were fun. One of them was like much more of a party type guy, and the other was more like studious. And so it was a good mix of personalities in the household, and but because of that, like because they were so much older, the age gap and everything, everybody in the house cussed a lot, but I was the only one that got like in trouble for it. You know, I was like 6 years old and I'm talking like everyone else in the house is talking because that's what you do. But they would be like, you can't cuss. You got to quit that cussing bullshit right now. You know, like that. It was that kind of thing. And then finally, I think it kind of dawned on everyone that it's like, it's really not fair to hold this kid under this sort of scrutiny.
I know.
And so they just started letting me cuss around the house. But then it became a problem when I was in school, where not only was I was cussing better than the adults at school. Like I actually knew what I was saying, you know. And so I would get in trouble every now and again for that, but nothing too bad. That, you know, like, they'd make me go to the principal's office and they'd, Mike, what did you do today? I don't fucking know. You know, the teacher's being a real prick about it, you know. And you know, so that was part of it. But at school, I had a lot of friends when I was growing up. I wasn't really into like the clique sort of thing, you know, where you're part of one group or another group. I just kind of was friends with whoever was cool in any of those groups. Yeah. You know, that was like cool with being friends with other people. But like the ones that were too like, oh, you know, jocks only socialize with jocks or whatever, you know, I just didn't give a shit about someone like that anyway, because I was like, you're too much of a follower for me to be friends with. You know? We're just not going to get.
What about
not that we're not going to get along, but I'm just not going to find you that interesting. You know.
What about the kids in the band? Like the way I remember the kids in the band. They, to me, they were sort of like the gifted kids. Like I remember a lot of them were in that GATE program, and they were kind of preppy, and they would go on their trips to like other towns. And I thought I kind of looked up to them, like, oh, those are like the preppy kids. They're in, a lot of them are in the band, but I don't know. Was it like that at your school or?
No, they were. I would say they were kind of geeky in our school. Like they were more considered nerds. Like there was the band and the choir,
right?
And then below them was like the kids that played like that smelled glue, or the ones that like played Dungeons and Dragons, but they played it at school, like an organized school function.
I'm laughing because
we were like sanctioned by the school. And then below that was the mathletes.
Oh, I like that, the mathletes, like mathletes. That's good. Oh, yeah, they would do like the decathlon, or what was it called? The decath?
I don't know, the demathlon maybe?
Demathlon?
I have no idea. I didn't do it.
Yeah, I didn't.
But, I guess if I was in one group more consistently, it was theater, because I was in a lot of the plays and stuff. And we were somewhere, I would say we were just above the band and choir as far as like the social ladder, you know.
I'm laughing because I was like, yeah, like at our school, the way I remember, like the band, they were like the preppy kids. They were really good looking and smart and very gifted. And did I mention I was in band? No, but I wasn't in band. You're like, but before I said that, you're like, yeah, those are like the nerds, the band geeks, the guys.
Yeah, they just were. It was just, you know, different schools have different things, and I think our school was very much like middle class kids. I think if you're at a school with like that's like primarily upper class or even upper middle class, you know, band is probably more of a social stature sort of thing.
Yeah, you know what I think it was? Because I went to a magnet school. Like it was in a more of a, I'm not going to say poorer neighborhood, but it kind of was, and that's actually where I lived. It was like a more of a blue collar. Like, and it was called RPAM, Roosevelt Performing Arts Magnet. So then, that's why they had like special, you know, section of the high school that was like, this is the, you know, the magnet section. This is like the theater, the band, the music, and
Well, yeah, if you're at a performing arts school,
Yeah.
the social structure is completely different.
Yeah, I think that's...
And it's all based on performing arts. Whereas,
Right.
like, in a regular public school, performing arts is kind of a foreign concept to a lot of the kids that are going there.
Right.
And, you know, they're like, it borders on witchcraft.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
to a lot of the kids.
Yeah.
They're like, what are they doing? Stupid. You know, there's a lot of misunderstanding and a lot of jealousy too. Like,
Yeah.
that's a thing that, you know, your parents say when you get beat up, oh, they're just jealous or whatever, you know.
Right.
But
Right.
it's true. There's like, they're jealous of a thing that they don't understand. And
Yep.
it's like, how are they getting to take classes about that when I'm having to take basically trade school classes and shit, you know?
Yeah, it's funny. I was reading this. When I say reading, I'm listening to a book. It's once again, this one's about Frank Sinatra, and it's interesting. The guy that wrote the book was talking about his life and how he got to, work with Frank Sinatra. But one of the things he said was he was in the band and he was playing music in like the early '60s in New York. And when he was in high school, he said he almost didn't graduate, even though he got great grades, A's and that kind of thing. There was a teacher that didn't like him, and he goes, I notice you always leave the computer, which is weird. He said the computer lab. I guess they had computer labs even back then. He goes, you always leave the computer lab early and you go to the music room. And he goes, why do you do that? And the kid said, well, that's my time. When I'm done with the computer lab, that's my time. And I love music and I want to pursue music. And that's what I want to do. And the teacher said something like, the entertainment business is superfluous. And he said, I told the teacher, no, you are superfluous. and by the way, I had to look up the word superfluous, and I think it basically means
it pretty much means unnecessary.
Yes.
Or like extravagance.
Right. And I thought that was interesting, superfluous. And by the way, here's another thing I've learned from my son. You know how you can... Oh, go ahead.
But to further cement that point of your superfluous, absolutely true, because it's like this computer lab doesn't even remotely account for how much computer technology will be used in entertainment,
I know.
or how much it is already. I mean, when I was in high school, they made us take a computer science class. Made us.
Yeah.
And now it's like kids don't even need it. By the time they're like 3 years old, they fully understand computer science.
Oh, 100%.
As well as I did when I was taking that class.
Oh, dude, I took it in 1984, and I remember I barely passed it, and it was like so hard back then. You had to do like data entry and like COBOL or whatever, and like comma and semicolon, and it was just not even fun. It sucked, man. The floppy disks.
Yeah, we grew up at the dawn of that stuff and had no idea that it's like how important it is in comedy right now, in music, in movies especially. For Doctor Strange, this is a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Someone was being asked about it, that Sam Raimi, the director, they were like, what do you think was the most impressive special effect in the movie? And he goes, that's really hard. It would be easier to ask me about what scenes didn't use special effects, because there's only about 5 of them in the movie.
Wow.
Every other scene in the movie had computer effects in it. So they're a very massive part of entertainment, and like as a comedian, if you don't have at least a basic understanding of the technology available to you on social media, you're just not really a comedian. It's a hobby.
It's sad, right?
There's no way you're going to get the word out on your stuff. It's way too competitive.
It really is, because and it could be frustrating. I could see that where some older comedians or someone who doesn't, and then they're looking at other people where they're like, "This guy's not funny," but they're working everywhere. Yeah, because they've learned how to, and that's okay. And if anyone needs to know something, I'm glad to teach him because I'm still learning. And I was late into the game when it came to actual computer. And it's funny now, I'm not really late, I don't think, but at the time, I remember when everyone was getting those Apple computers, like in the 90s, like that were like the end of the 90s, like they were like those giant green computer monitors and the.
Oh yeah, of course.
The Beatles were like, they had like the Beatles music and those were the ads everywhere, and I remember everybody had these computers, and I don't know when we got ours. It was a few years after that, and it was just a big deal. It was like I didn't know how to use it at first, and then I was like, I didn't know where to.
For me, when it kind of started going mainstream, was when they were like, Apple started doing those. Do you remember the computer monitors that were different colors?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like that during that era. Yep.
That's about when people started really, like, the average Joe seemed to really know a lot more about computers.
Yeah, I remember.
Like how to actually operate them, because they made it a lot easier.
Yeah, I remember going to my buddy's house back then. He was like ahead of his time, and this is like in the 90s. And he was like, yeah, I email bookers. And he goes, it's great. I love emailing. You can email now, and you can do it 24 hours a day. He's like, you don't have to call in for spots on a certain day and time. You can just, and I was like, email? Like, how do I do that? Like, I didn't, and then I remember my friend
I don't
was
want to get electrocuted.
Exactly. I was like, what do I do? How do I, and then somebody told me like, they were going to send me something, and he goes, yeah, I'm going to send it snail mail. And I was like, I don't have that. And he started laughing. He goes, you don't have snail mail? I go, no, dude, I don't even have email. And it was like, and it was just so like, but then again, and I remember the first time that I saw, it's funny. I was at a sporting goods store, which is no longer exists. Now they've converted it into an REI, which is still kind of a sporting goods store. But at the time, it was like Sports Chalet would take you to the limit.
Right, yeah.
And that was the first time somebody had their cell phone and showed me something cool. They were like, they worked there, and then they opened up their phone, and there was like pictures on it and videos. And I was like, whoa, your phone can do that? And he was, because it might have been pre-iPhone. Was there a phone before that? Yeah.
You could take a picture on a flip phone. I did. They were terrible, but you could take one. I have a picture somewhere of me and Scott Thompson from the Kids in the Hall, and it looks like it was done on a Nintendo 64 or something like that.
Yeah.
We both look like really shitty video game characters.
Right. Yeah. I remember, I think this guy could go to the websites, because I think I was like, can you go to my website? Super like selfish comedian. And he's like, yeah, DarrenCarter.com. And I don't know if it, was converted correctly or whatever, but I remember he was able to like see something on there, and I was like, whoa, like this is next level. Right. Like, and then I had another friend that had I think they were called like a Sidekick, and he's like, yeah, dude, I'm never bored at airports anymore. Like if my flight gets delayed, I can just go on my phone and like play around, and then it was like, wow. Yeah.
I remember speaking of cussing, I remember seeing a guy at the Apple store, and the back when they had people that would help you there, this guy was like showing him what the computers could do, and each new app that he showed him, the guy would go, "What the fuck?"
Really?
Yeah. And the guy showing him was trying not to laugh because it was so great. He was just like literally so impressed.
He was like,
what was going on? He'd be like, "Yeah, and this is the notebook, and you can just click on it and just say whatever, like, what do you have on your grocery list?" He goes, "I got to buy milk. Add milk to grocery list," and it shows milk being added. What the fuck?
Yeah. I remember going on websites like back then when we first got our like laptops or whatever, and I was like, man, what are some websites to go on? I don't even know any websites. I remember like,
oh no, that'll get you into trouble. Exactly. With that attitude. What websites are there to go on?
Yeah, because that was kind of before. Well, obviously, it was before Facebook, TikTok. Well, it was before the public had. I think college did Facebook, but It was before,
Right.
it was before YouTube. It was before, and I remember like one of the websites I would go to was Brody Stevens' website because he
Yeah.
had links to other comedians. So I'd be like, oh, I could go to his website, and then I can go to those links and see like what's Gilbert Gottfried up to, what's this comedian up to, oh wow, they're going to perform it, and it was kind of a hub that was one of the websites that I'd go to.
Also, a quick moment. Rest in peace to both of the guys you just mentioned.
Yeah, for sure.
But that was one great thing about Brody was he was super supportive of other comics.
You got it.
And that's a very indicative thing that you just said, that he would, like, who was posting links to other comedians
I know.
at the dawn of the internet.
Right, right. And he posted little vlogs or I'm sorry, blogs. He would write little things and show kind of what he always did. Like he'd do a picture and a little story with it. And I just was entertained by it. And I liked him, and he always thought he was really cool. And then you'd see those links and I remember telling him, like, then when MySpace came out, we were talking one time at the Westwood Brewing Company. They call it Brewco. And I go,
Right.
and he said something like, I don't know, we got into a conversation, and I said, I haven't been going to your website as often as I used to, because now I go to this other website called MySpace. And he goes, Darren Carter, he goes, Brody Stevens losing viewers to MySpace. Like it was just kind of funny, like the way he announced that. It was just.
Did you tell him that you had removed him from your top 8?
Yeah. No, I don't even know if I put him in the top 8. I don't even know if I did the top 8, but that was another thing too that would get annoying, right? This one comedy club owner used to get mad, like, how come nobody puts me in the top 8? Nobody puts our club in the top 8. It's like, well, how come you don't put us in your top 8? It was like,
yeah, it's for people, not corporations.
Yeah, it was
That'd be a weird thing if everyone, if I saw someone who had Arby's in their top 8, I'd have a lot of questions about that person.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember this guy was leaning on his Hummer, complaining about it, and I was thinking, man, you're doing well, dude. You don't worry about who's on MySpace top 8. Like you're doing fine. Like,
just what you told me about what he's driving.
Right.
That's the kind of guy that gets obsessed by that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, man. I was, so it's kind of funny because now I'm I help others. I'm like, here's how you do this. Here's how you do that. And I do, you're right. If you're a comedian, that's what we do. So we'll talk about comedians, but if you're a comedian and you don't know how to do these certain things, you got to get on the ball and
a perfect example of that is, you and I we have a show on Wednesday coming up.
Yep.
And we got a flyer for it.
By the way, if you're in Hermosa Beach, go to Hermosa Beach. We'll be right on the pier. There's a restaurant there owned by George Lopez. It's called the Brews House. If you're hearing this, I don't know when I'm going to put this up, though. I just realized.
Maybe put it up today so that people can hear that.
Good call, my man.
But yeah, like we got the flyer for it, and a lot of what most comics will do is they'll get a flyer for a show which looks like every other flyer out there, and they'll just repost it, and that's it. But like on Instagram, you have so many options. You can add music to it. You can add effects and filters and really snazz it up. You can add links to all the comics on the show. There's so many options that when I see someone just kind of post a flyer, again, I just go, what are you thinking? When there's so many ways to make it more interesting than just a bunch of headshots and names.
I know.
And you know
what's cool about Instagram? If you guys click where that little square is and where the GIFs are, there's a thing that says captions, and it's pretty accurate. You can click on those captions, and I mean that helps a lot too. If people are in a loud place and they want to hear what you guys are talking about, they can see the captions.
Yep, and a lot of people don't know that on that. You were talking about how accurate it is. When it's not accurate, you can edit it.
Oh, yeah.
You just click on it and change whatever word it is to what it's supposed to be.
Oh, yeah, you can move it around the screen. I had a friend that had captions, but he figured out the captions part, but it was all over his image of his face. I go, dude, it's very distracting. He goes, you can just kind of tap that and drag it anywhere on the screen. And he was like, you can? And I was like, yeah. So, but I get it though. I mean, I'm a guy that didn't even know I could tap my own credit card.
I always, when someone says something like you can, I go, yes, stupid.
He's like the Apple Store. What the fuck?
Yeah. I like to help people, but I also like to feel superior.
Yeah. Yeah. Superior. Speaking of that, there was a
what else? Yeah. What are you getting out of it? You know,
exactly.
You help them out.
I went to a place in Hanford, California. It's near Fresno, and it's called Superior Dairy. And if you're ever in that area and you're hankering for some ice cream, dude, you got to go to Superior Dairy. And they're not a sponsor.
I'm just picturing like that they have like 10-foot tall cows outside.
We are superior. They really are, dude. Those scoops of ice cream are like they're as big as like a cantaloupe. I'm not even kidding.
Wow.
Yeah, it's and I've learned not to get a scoop. Just get like a half gallon to go. And
do you know how to do? Speaking of this, do you know how to do soft serve ice cream and make it look nice when you get it?
No, you just kind of like rotate your cup in a circle. I have no idea.
The trick is like, yeah, the easiest way is fill it like the cone where it looks like it's overflowing. It will go, if you hold it steady under the thing, it'll just balloon up a little bit. And when it starts doing that, you just kind of twist the cone back and forth a little bit, and it'll get like this fancy pattern. And you do that for a little while and then take it away and kind of twirl up, and that'll like break it off from the other part.
Oh.
And it'll come out looking really nice. I did this at Sizzler. I just figured out how to do it, and I was like, oh, that came out looking really nice. And I turned around, and there's a whole family behind me, and they were like, wow.
I like your technique, bro.
Like, they were really excited by it.
Yeah.
And then I didn't mean to, but I looked over, and they were sitting near me, and they all just had big globs of gross,
Oh, they just
sloppy,
let it pour all over, like, yeah.
Ice cream. Like, most of them didn't even have cones because they didn't trust themselves. They had bowls. They did that.
Oh, that's
that
me.
Thing that idiots do where they get like a paper cup and they just flop it all in there and then they stick a cone on top of it.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, this ought to be a type of IQ test. Like, they just have a lab that has like a soft serve thing and they go, make yourself an ice cream cone. And then they just tell you how smart you are based on that.
That's funny. They
like, oh, he flopped it all over the place. What the hell's wrong with it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because I remember when I worked at Baskin Robbins and I got fired for licking my fingers, but that's one of the things I did. I know. Because
you do it seductively? Was that the problem?
I know. I didn't even argue with the guy. I was like, that sounds like something I would do. I do remember. I do remember licking my arm because it would run down your arm because you have to work quickly. Ice cream melts, especially at that store, and
I can't imagine anything that would creep me out faster
than a 15-year-old freckle-faced redhead licking his fingers, like,
yeah. And then handing you an ice cream cone.
This is going to be amazing.
What the hell? What the fuck? That guy's there.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I got at Superior Dairy, and it's funny because I wanted strawberry. I knew I was going to get I knew I was going to get it. I was like, I'm going to get strawberry. But I kind of wanted this other. And I said, hey, can I, you mind if I get like a little? He goes, oh, you want to try it? I'm like, sure. And then, but I didn't want to think I'm just taking advantage. Like, oh, what is this thing you call chocolate?
Right. Yeah.
But the guy was cool. He goes, even if you've tried all these flavors before, like every ice cream, store is different, so every ice cream parlor is different, so you never know what our version of vanilla or chocolate is. And then once he said that, I was like, oh man, I'm in for some samples today. So I had a
right, and he's right too, because it's like chocolate ice cream at some places sucks. It doesn't. It's a lot of times it's just brown color.
Yep.
But it's the exact same flavor as vanilla or strawberry, and that I hate that.
Yeah.
But like there's some places where you get strawberry ice cream and it really has like a true strawberry taste to it.
Oh, this place has a true strawberry taste to it. I'm like, man, it's so good. I ended up getting maple nut, delicious, strawberry, delicious, and this other one called cookies. And man, it was good. It was really good. It was very good.
I told you about having gelato with John Panette in Italy.
Oh, yeah.
where like they had like 300 flavors, and it was like, if you like, they treat gelato there like they treat kickboxing in the Philippines, where it's like, if you decide at 8 years old, I want to be a gelato maker, they're like, you're way too old. You're too old now to begin the training. Like, you should have come to us when you were 4. And but like they had like 300 flavors, and I asked him at one point, I was like, because mine was really good. I was like, how's yours? He goes, it's good in that, I'm going to get another scoop way. It's good in that now I got to sell all my shit and move to Italy sort of way.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And it's true, like the fruit flavors, if you ever go to a full-on serious gelato place or see like a stand that has really good-looking gelato, try the fruit flavors because they really taste like the fruit. It's basically whatever fruit you chose, only smoother and a little bit sweeter.
Dang.
and cold.
That's good.
Like I got one called Concord Grape, and it was like someone had just liquefied and frozen grape.
Wow.
And it was delicious. It was unbelievable. And then like all the cream-based ones, the like chocolates and vanillas and that sort of stuff, is super, super smooth and creamy. It's so good.
Man, that's good. You know what? Hey,
the only place I know of left that has that kind of thing, sorry to cut you off, is Caesar's Palace. Has a really great gelato stand in it in Las Vegas. So if you're ever there and you're looking for a good dessert, that's a thing to go to.
Good to know. I remember one time I bought a suit years ago, probably 25 years ago, and the guy that sold me the suit was telling me and my fiance, aka my wife at the time, was still my wife. I messed up my fiance at the time, my wife, and I'm like, what the hell? No, and
this is how you're breaking the news to her that it's
exactly
over. My wife at the time.
I mean, my fiance. Okay. I bought this suit because we were getting married, and I was like, I better buy a suit. So I remember the guy that sold us the suit was. He's like, because we got married in Las Vegas. And he goes, I love going to Vegas. He goes, sometimes I'll go to Las Vegas just for the strawberry shortcake. And he was telling us some restaurant, some casino. I forget right now what it was. But he said he would drive all that way to get strawberry shortcake. He said it was like 2 feet high. And then, and I think we may have tried it. And we were like, it's not that good. And then I realized, like, this guy's he was just probably a gambler. And like,
yeah,
like
that dude was, he was like, 4 shots of whiskey in.
Yeah.
Probably doing peyote with someone else, like before, and then, if you're in that state, any strawberry
yeah, because he made it sound like he just gets a wild hair on a Sunday and like drives out, gets a strawberry shortcake, turns around and comes back to LA. And
he probably does, but that's a 5-hour drive, so he's like, well, I better do some angel dust first. And then, so by the time he gets to that strawberry shortcake, it's going to be outstanding.
Exactly. This is delicious. I know. I got to ask my wife.
Hunter S. Thompson type strawberry shortcake, I
got to ask her what casino that was. I forget right now, but it was like, what the heck?
Well, I'm old Vegas in a way where my parents both worked for the government, and a lot of government business meetings happened in Vegas.
Oh.
Because I think a lot of people who worked there were real into gambling too,
Oh, yeah.
And which is scary when you think these are the people that decide where the missiles go and stuff,
Right.
But we would go, and so I remember like the classic strip, what it used to look like with like the Stardust and Circus Circus and the Riviera and all the, I could name all the hotels going along the strip, and they were so much fun. And even as a kid, I couldn't gamble, but it was still like just the experience of the different ones, and they had such great food. But there was a place, it was like the best kept secret in Vegas, I thought. In Circus Circus, there used to be a little coffee shop called the Pink Pony.
Wow.
And they did pancakes that were out of this world. And I'm not just saying that from like as a kid's perspective. There were people that made special trips to come get those
full disclosure, they're our sponsor now, and no.
Oh, right. Well, no, it's gone now, and it pissed everyone off.
Wow.
They closed it down. But
what was it called? It was inside Circus Circus. It was called.
Yeah, it was called the Pink Pony, and they made the Pink Pony pancakes, which were a little bit pink.
That's cool.
But they had like a hint of strawberry.
Wow.
In the pancake batter, and they were unbelievable. And so they were like, the gambling is secondary. I'm really in town to get some of those pancakes.
Wow.
They always had a line out the door and stuff like that.
That's
but there
cool.
were a lot of it, and there still are on the Strip. There are little like secrets that the locals know about and places that you can go that are just incredible, you know.
Oh yeah, like have you ever heard of IHOP? It's the International House of Pancakes.
I think you need a visa though to go inside.
Yeah. You use your little visa with your little tapping it, and then. But Mike, it's been a great show, and dude, we're running out of time. I want to thank you, and before I forget, two things. I told you about that internet. I told you about the.
You told me about the internet. Yes.
No, not the internet. There's that room that I want you to do this. He's a promoter, and he put me in. We did Whittier. I did Whittier this last weekend, and when I was talking to him, I recommended you. I go, you got to get Mike Black, and I'm like, I'm gonna forget, so I'm gonna tell you right now on the podcast. He also met Paul Rodriguez when he was a child. I think he was 10 years old. He saw him live in concert, and that's when he knew.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was when he wanted to pursue comedy, and so I was like, oh, Mike Black, man, when he was a kid. So yes, you guys can have that connection. And the second,
that's very cool.
The second thing I want to know is, do you have a time to do either a second little quick bonus podcast, or maybe go live on Instagram? We'll end this one and go do one of those other ones.
Wouldn't it be funny if I said no right now?
Like,
ended on a real downer. No, I'm gonna go to have lunch instead.
You're like, okay, I'm gonna make. All right. Meanwhile, I'm stuck here. My morning routine is I do a podcast, and I'm lonely the rest of the day. No.
But yeah, I'll absolutely do a bonus one.
Awesome. Okay, cool. We'll do that.
Because I think of myself as the people's comedian.
That's right. Okay, so I'll give you like a 10-minute break if that's cool, 15-minute break, and then and then I'll.
But give me a call before we record again.
Okay.
Too.
Okay, you got it. Okay. All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.
That's Mike Black. That was so much fun. I don't know if you noticed this. He warms up as the show goes on, and I'm like, let's do another one while you're warmed up. He's like, Pink Pony pancakes. Da da da. I mean, this guy was like firing on all cylinders. I love Mike Black, man. That guy's great. Great energy. And thank you guys for hanging all the way in. And if you want to help us out, here it comes. Just a couple of things. Apple reviews, those really help on iTunes when you go to Apple. It really helps. And YouTube, anytime you leave a comment on leave a comment on YouTube, it helps. All that stuff, guys. It just, it helps get the word out. If you want to help, if you want to throw me a couple of dollars, think of it as a digital tip. At Darren Carter Comic on Venmo, at $, Darren Carter Comic on the Cash App. So you can do that. If you want to do PayPal, go to darrencarter.com on PayPal. And I do read all reviews on the air. So if you want to plug your own business, or you want to plug something, go for it, and I'll put it right there. For example, here's a review I read. I'll read right now on the podcast. This is on Apple. From Polography, he writes, "Love it. Always looking forward to new ones. I've been following Darren Carter, the Party Starter, since like 2007, 2008. He's been putting a smile on my face for these years. He's a hard-working comedian, and his material is always fresh and funny. I would totally recommend them to anyone new or old to comedy scene. Look up Polography online." So he plugged his thing. Another person on Instagram on Apple, but their IG handle is official Busy Izzy OG. "Hi, I saw you perform, and now I'm listening to your podcast. I think it is so dope. Your podcast and your comedy stand-up is effing awesome. Can't wait to see you do stand up again. Oh, thank you so much. And I'll just do one last one. Let's do one. Well, you get the idea. Just go to Apple, leave your own review, and do it. But you guys are great. Thanks for hanging in there with us, and we'll see you soon. Thanks again for starting that party in your ear holes.
Oh yeah, baby. You know what time it is. Time to get that party started all up in your ear holes. Here we go. When you had a bad day and you want those bad vibes to go away.
When every day life gets harder, Darren,
Carter,
you need the party starter.
it's the Pocket Party Podcast.
With the run
Pocket Party Podcast.
in your ear holes.
Pocket Party Podcast.
It's in your ear holes.
Pocket Party Podcast. Or if your day needed a booster, then you need to talk to Red Rooster. Mr. Carter about to take you to school. Here we go. Don't hurt nobody and don't hurt yourself.